This website right here shows you how to make a little calendar using HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript files for blogs and websites. This is how it looks before I added some hover events so that I could hover my mouse from top to bottom and show you what each little element on here actually refers to. So the copied and pasted address for this website is right here. You can pause the video so that you can write this down and go to this and try it out yourself. I wound up trying to follow a YouTube video doing this, and I wound up making typos and it didn't run. Then I wound up going to this static website itself and typed the index.html as shown, the script.javascript file as shown, which is fairly long, and then the style.css file as shown. Well, the CSS is relatively short and I didn't have a problem. The index file as well, HTML file, is short and I didn't have any problems there. But once it got time for me to do this file, I was making some errors and I couldn't figure out what it was, and I did it so many times I got frustrated. So I wound up just copying and pasting this whole thing right over top of the code that I was typing myself. And it did run, so it does work. I wound up using Notepad++ to put my code in. And if you go to Notepad++, this is what the website looks like to download it. It's free, open source software that helps people when they're coding because it colorizes their code. And there's the download button right there if you're interested. If you do want to do this, this is how you start off. You go to your Notepad++ and open it up. I'm going to close these things that I've already finished and show you how to create 3 brand new files. After opening Notepad++, you go to File, Save As. I want to save these to my desktop, and the first file is index.html. Save. Then you double click to the right of the X until you get another tab that comes up and hit Save As. Down here you type style.css. Save. Then you click to the right of the X again in this little empty spot, hit File, Save As, and then you're going to hit script.js. That's your JavaScript file. So now you've got 3 files that you're ready to either go to that website here, and you could either copy this code right here. You could highlight it, right click, copy, go to the index, right click, paste, and then it's ready to go. You can go back to that website. You can move down to the script.js, highlight that whole ditty, make sure you get the very last curly brace, right click, copy, go back to your Notepad++, go to your script.js, right click and paste, and save. Make sure you hit your saves. Then you can look for your, whoopsie, where did it go? Then you can go to your style there in that website and do the same thing. Try not to get anything other than the code inside. Right click, copy, go to that style CSS, right click and paste. Okay, you actually have everything you need without typing it out. Typing it out is just going to make you more familiar with writing code in the first place. What you run is your index.html because this is actually your web page itself. So when you highlight your index.html after you've copied and pasted or attempted to type it in by looking, then you go to your Notepad++ up here where it says run, and then you can launch in Firefox, IE, Chrome, Safari, whatever you have on your system should pop up here. Now I know that I also have Opera, and for some reason it doesn't say launch in Opera. So in any event, I'm going to use Firefox. Launch in Firefox, your index.html. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it looks like before I started adding a few of my own things to the CSS. I added things to the CSS so that when I start at the top and I work my mouse slowly down, I am going to pass over different elements with a hover background color so that I can say, okay, this is what this is, and this is what this is, and yada, yada, yada. So let me show you what that looks like. I've already showed you where and how to do the code. what to use to make life easy for yourself. And let's just go over the code in general. These things I just saved are the blank files that I just created when I showed you how to do it. But the code that I have working, that I have my few alterations on my CSS, are here in this folder that I have working calendar control. I highlight everything in there, I right click, and I hit edit with Notepad. Now you can see everything that I have working. I'm going to start off with my index. Okay, to go over the code quickly, doc type HTML, there is our pair of HTML tags opening up here, closing down here. Inside the HTML web page, you have a head and you have a body. What all is in the head? Well, what's in the head are three things. We've got a title called calendar, so that when we run our page from index.html, you're going to see calendar up here in the browser's tab. Like this is a tab that says index.html. When you open up the browser, this tab is going to say calendar, but not in here. It's going to be in your Firefox. Then we're going to link to this other thing that we create called style CSS. We're going to link to that right here with link type equals text / CSS, rel equals style sheet, and href equals style.css. The other thing we're going to link to is the other file we're going to create. And the way we're going to link to that is script type equals text / JavaScript, source script.javascript, and you have the ending script tag right there. That's the end of the head. Here's the body. We're going to start off with a div that has a special name, ID equals calendar container, and I have something called title that says calendar container. Anytime you take an element and give it a title like this, what's going to happen when you browse, when you when you move your cursor over top of this particular element, you're going to get a tooltip, a little tiny pop-up that has these words on it. The next thing we have, besides our container that it basically holds everything, this is like the package of it all, we have a div with the ID of calendar header and a title of calendar header, and inside that div there's a span tag that has an ID of calendar month year, and another tooltip by using this keyword title that says calendar month year span tag, so that when I actually touch the span tag with my mouse, I'm going to read this and know that I've actually hit the span tag section. Then we have the last div here that has an ID of calendar dates and a title, which is the tooltip that says calendar dates. So all of these things, the calendar container, the calendar month year, and the calendar dates IDs, are going to be stylized with this style.css. So here we have pound calendar container, and everything in these curly braces is a style for that. Padding, the calendar container is going to have a padding of 10 pixels, a width of 225, a height of 240, and px stands for pixels, a text align of center, a border of 1 pixels solid, and this is actually a color, pound EEE, I think it's a type of gray, border radius 10 pixels, font size 16 pixels, font family Arial, background image linear gradient, and then you've got two shades here, pound FFF and pound D3D3D3. Which if we change these colors, we can see how it actually changes the background image, the linear background image. Okay, I'm not sure why we had a calendar container set of styles and a calendar container div set of styles, but that's what the website showed, so that's what I have here. That contains has a padding of 5 pixels and a margin bottom of 10 pixels. I created a hover element, a hover event, so that as my mouse goes down to this calendar container, the hover is going to change to a background of lime. So as soon as we see lime, we know that we've hit this calendar container div element. Next, we have the calendar month year. Again, calendar month year is this ID inside this span. When we get to that, it's going to have a margin of 5 pixels, a padding of 5 pixels, a font weight of bold, and a font size of 1.5 EM, which means it's 1.5 times the font size of the body. So it's going to be extra bold and it's going to be a little bigger. I gave it also a hover. When we get to the calendar month year span tag, I have the hover event is going to open up a background color of red as we pass across it. Next, we have calendar dates. And if you look at calendar dates, that's this very last div, which is going to have all of the dates on our calendar. When we get to that part, okay, it starts here. Calendar dates, table, there's a table in there and a table row. We're going to give the table row that's inside the calendar dates div a padding of 5 pixels and a background color of blue. I gave the table row an additional hover event, which as I hover over each individual row, a background color of black is going to blacken the whole row out. But that's affecting row by row because that's the last element that we're actually styling. Then we have here the calendar dates table, table row, table data cell, which is the actual square itself, not the row. The row has 7 squares in it because there's 7 days of the week. This is the actual cell itself. The actual cell itself is going to have a padding of 5 pixels, just like the table row in the table got. But the only difference is I have added 2 more hovers, and then that's the end of my CSS. Here, I added a hover to that single table data cell as a background color of orange. So each little day of the month, if you hover over it, you're going to get an orange. The only other thing that I have here, and it's a little difficult to see, is that I have the calendar dates table hover. Now, because the table is incorporated with table rows and table data cells, you're going to see only a little bit of yellow because it's only going to be showing you basically the padding of the table before you hit the table row and the table data cell. Okay, so let's go over from top to bottom this with this open so we can refer to it. Remember, when we see the color lime, we're going to be seeing the calendar container div style in action. Starting up here, there's lime. That's part of the calendar container div. And if you go down a little more, that is still the calendar container div. Because we have a couple of things. We have a header in there, and we have a place for the table for the dates. So if I start up here again, and you see what's red. If you look in my style right here, the highlight of red is talking about the calendar month year hover, which if you go back to the index, the calendar month year hover is this span tag inside the header. And the span tag only goes as far as these words go. That's why when I come down here, you only see red, just around the words. It doesn't go completely from left to right, covering up this green right here because it's a span. Okay, next as I come down, like I said, there's that. And background blue. What's background blue? Got to go back to my style. Background blue refers to calendar dates table TR. This is a row, 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 and this is a row. It doesn't matter if it's the header, it's still a row. It doesn't matter if it's blank right here, this is still a row, whether it has a number in it or not. Each one of these are rows, and they start off not as a hover with a background color of blue, but as the actual style itself when the web page is presented as a blue. What happens when I hover over the row itself is you get the row is black with the exception of whatever direct table data cell you're on with the mouser, and in that case the background color is orange because you have your hover right on a specific TD. A specific TD will be orange and the whole row will be black. Let's see, what else did I forget? Anything? Okay, you can see how you can barely see the yellow. You can see the yellow outlining. You can see the green and then the yellow. That yellow is the table itself. And you've got the rows and the TRs, which are the rows, and the TDs, which are the table data cells, all inside that yellow. And last but not least, this really long, scary JavaScript. I just want to read it and get through it because it's very long. This window on load function goes from this red to this red. Window.onload equals function. var d equals new date. Var month name equals, and in straight brackets, separated by commas, and each one with single quotes, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, September, October, November, December. That's creating the month names. Var month equals d.getMonth. You're using this variable d that you just created as a new date object, and you're using the getMonth function of JavaScript. Var year equals d.getFullYear. Var first date equals month name with month in brackets plus a space plus 1 plus a space plus year. Var tmp for temp equals new date in parentheses first date dot to date string. Var first day equals tmp dot substring and in parentheses 0, 3. Var day name equals, and you do the same thing that you did when you created the days of the months of the year. You're doing the same thing with the days of the week. Var day name equals 3 letters of each day, separated by commas, surrounded by single quotes, and all enclosed in straight bracket and ending with a semicolon. Var day no equals day name dot index of parentheses first day. Var days equals new date parentheses year comma month plus 1 comma 0 dot get date. Var calendar equals get calendar and in parentheses day no comma days. I think this means day number. Would have been better if they would have put day num instead of day no. Then lastly, document.getElementById calendar month year dot enter HTML equals month name with month in straight brackets plus space plus year. And then document.getElementById calendar dates dot append child calendar. And that's the end of the onload function. This function happens every single time you open up this web page in a browser. If you open this up and hit run launch in Firefox, or if you go to the icon itself and double click on it and open it up in whatever browser you're going to open it up in. All right, so that was that onload function, but there's so much more. But wait, there's more. We have a function called getCalendar, and it goes from this red curly brace all the way to the end. So let's quickly, and then we're done with this whole thing. Let's quickly go through this without explanation, just reading it. Function getCalendar in parentheses day no comma days. Var table equals document.createElement and in parentheses and single quotes table. Var tr equals document.createElement and in parentheses and single quotes tr. This says row for the day letters, and it goes from here to here. For var c equals 0, c less than or equal to 6, c plus plus, which means c will increment by 1 each time. Var td equals document.createElement, parentheses and single quotes td. td.innerHTML equals smtwtfs and in brackets c. tr.appendChild in parentheses td. td is a child of tr. Table.appendChild tr. A tr is a child of table. tr equals document.createElement and in parentheses and single quotes tr. Var c. Here this for loop goes from there to there. For c equals 0, c less than or equal to 6, c plus plus. If c is equal to day no, or day number, then break. Otherwise, var td equals document.createElement td in parentheses and single quotes. td.innerHTML equals, and we have a space there, tr.appendChild td. Now we have var count equals 1. This for loop says for, and there's nothing that we were able to leave the first part of that blank but put a semicolon there, and then C less than or equal to 6, C++. var td equals document.createElement, td, single quotes and parentheses, td.enterHTML equals count, count plus plus, tr.appendChild td, table.appendChild tr. Now for the rest of the rows. For, and this for loop goes from here all the way to here, so let's just highlight that whole thing and then read it. This is all one big for loop. For var r equals 3, I think that means row. For row equals 3, as long as row is less than or equal to 7, increment the row. tr equals document.createElement, tr. For var c equals 0, c less than or equal to 6, c++. If count is greater than days, then table.appendChild tr, return table. Otherwise, if count greater than days is not true, then you're going to do this part. var td equals document.createElement td, td.enterHTML equals count, count plus plus, tr.appendChild td. Finally, here we have table.appendChild tr, and then after that loop is over, we're going to return the table. So that is all three of our files, our CSS file, our JavaScript file, and our HTML file. And again, that gives us this crazy little calendar, which really looks ugly with all these highlighted colors. If I go in here and take those out, which I already got rid of. If I go in just the style, edit with Notepad, go to my style, and just take out all the hovers, then you'll see what this is supposed to really look like. So I'm going to comment them out. Oops. I'm going to comment them out like this with the, whoops, there. This is going to begin a comment. So I'll put one on that hover, whoops, on that hover, and on this hover, and for these two hovers. I'll put the end comment for these two right here. The end comment for this hover right there. If I don't put my end hover, then it comments everything out. We don't want that. We just want our hovers. We get rid of all of our hovers. Did I miss any? I don't think I missed any. Let's hit save, and then let's run this index again and see if it's looking the way it originally is. Oh no, I needed to take off the blue. That blue style for this right here. I will see if I have any problems doing that. Background color blue, get rid of that. Let's try it again. And let's refresh the page. And this is how our calendar from that particular website is supposed to look without all that extra hover baloney that I put in there just to show you where elements were positioned. And that's it.